Russ Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi, south of the Arctic Circle, north of the equator. And boy, if you thought that the Press Row Show was going to be something to experience this weekend, if you were like, midday matinee, maybe I'll catch the postgame in the podcast feed. No. Today, pregame, we got lots to talk about. Not just a team that's lost 6 straight games. We've got injuries. We've got rumors circulating. We got a young man getting sent down off to, what's it called? Guelph? He's going down to the Gulf Coast.
Yes. Well,
anyway, welcome to the Press Show. I'm Russ Joy, Anthony SanFilippo, intern Andrew over here on the side. No Bundy tonight. He will be here for postgame.
Yeah, we'll have Bundy on.
He's on assignment. He's on location. On location. But lots to get into today.
Yeah, and we will in a minute, Russ. But nothing gets me more fired up than seeing you get excited to start the show. And this is how I know you were really excited today. Because sometimes, it's a fake excitement. Sometimes you're just kind of doing your shtick, right? We started a minute early today.
Yes, we did.
Which is so rare for you.
That is hope and change you can believe in. I have to get all the presidential impressions in before the election.
That was a minute early. We went live. Yep. That's crazy.
That is a bonus minute of content for all these wonderful people who tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and X. By the way, if you're tuning in on X and you want to comment on the show, you have to click on the video and then comment in there like old Periscope. Otherwise, your comment just goes as a reply to a tweet that we can't pull it up.
Yeah.
Just so you know, because I saw a lot of people on the last game, they were tweeting at us. We didn't see it.
Yeah.
And then after the game, I was like, look at all these things. We could have pulled these up. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's an exciting afternoon. I feel like a deadbeat dad today. My son has a soccer tournament. They are dressed as minions. They're doing like a Halloween-themed tournament. Lost 2-1 in the first game. He had an assist. And I talked to him.
A minion, huh?
And I said, listen.
Intern Andrew.
I said, shake off for his Halloween costume. He can borrow my son's. They're pretty much the same size. And so I was like, hey, shake off the loss. Go back out there. Play your hardest. And honestly, maybe I should go talk to the Flyers because his team not only bounced back from a 2-1 loss, they then went out and won 12-1 in the next game. So I'm not saying I'm the most motivational guy.
Who was their goalie? Ivan Fedotov?
Oh, maybe not for much longer. We'll get to that in a second. But it's a matinee game. Minnesota Wild, they're 5-0-2 on the season. I had somebody who you and I have worked with in the past who happens to know a thing or two about betting. And today he pinged me and he said, you like the Flyers today? It's a Flyers line. And I said, no, I don't. I don't know when in the foreseeable future I'm going to like the Flyers. It certainly will not be tonight or this afternoon. And then we got worse news. Like, it has actually since gotten worse since this morning because an injury has now befallen.
You want to start with the injury first?
Let's start the injury quick, and then we'll go to the thing that's probably
if you guys haven't seen it yet, Cam York is going to be out with an upper body injury, which if you watch the replay, looks like it's left shoulder, left arm, something. Minimum of 2 weeks. They're going to put him on IR, and from what I'm hearing, it might be a little bit longer than 2 weeks. They're hoping
that's the season.
They're
folks.
hoping that it's just 2 weeks for right now. They got there's some swelling in there. It takes a little bit of time to kind of really get a real assessment. So they're hoping it's 2 weeks, but I have a feeling it might be longer. So
I remember a time that Rasmus Ristolainen was supposed to miss a week or two, and it ended up being the whole second half of the season essentially. So not holding out a lot of hope there for Cam York, who has, in fairness, been one of their better defensemen, one of the young players on the team who really did look like he came into camp with a mission to prove, right? And did very well.
Yeah.
Looked like he was taking the next step, and of course,
it's a tough injury for them. I mean, and look, you're getting a veteran in the lineup, and Eric Johnson for today. I think it's possible we might see Emil Andre at some point. Come up here and kind of rotate in as well. But just so happens that for today, Eric Johnson will replace him in the lineup. And we'll get into in a minute why they just didn't recall someone right away. Because they also sent down Jet Luchenko today.
Well, that was the big news.
Well, it was the big news.
That was the big news.
Yeah. They sent Luchenko back to Guelph in junior hockey, so he's done for the season with the Flyers.
Which also means that the planned shirt that I had is going to have to go away for a year.
What's that?
Matty and the Jet.
I like it. I like it.
Trademarked. Don't come after us.
Do it on
Don't you dare.
on piano keys.
Yeah. Maddie and the Jet.
I like it.
Maddie.
It's good. It's good.
I'm just going to keep singing that while you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I like it. Anyway, we can talk about Luchenko going down, but that opens up another roster spot as well. So you have two guys that are now not on the roster that were there yesterday. And they are.
He's got matching boots, electric moves, and he knows how to score. All right, sorry.
You're not even paying attention to me.
That just happened.
Anyway.
It's the press row show. They've lost 6 straight. Like, what are we doing here? All right, cut.
So they could have replaced both guys on the roster today, but they didn't. And there's a reason that they didn't replace both guys on the roster today.
That is correct.
And that is that it sounds like the plan is for the Flyers to start.
Let the people drop their. Let them put in the comments. Who do they think?
Yeah, everybody
who's
knows.
Who's going to?
They know. Yeah,
what soft light through yonder window breaks?
Yeah, no.
Hitches the east and
Juliet is the west.
No.
Juliet is the sun.
Light through yonder window breaks. Hitches the east and name of the player.
Oh, Alexei Kolosov
is the sun.
Yeah, is the sun, right? He is going to probably start tomorrow night's game against the Montreal Canadiens. However, there is a caveat to that possibility.
Yes.
So the goal here is they want to bring him up without having to waive Fedotov. Right? The hope is that they could, for a short period of time, no one ever likes having 3 goalies. It sucks for the 3 goalies. That makes practice awkward, right?
Yep.
But they definitely want to give him his chance in the NHL to see how he looks. And they don't want to waive Fedotov just yet anyway. Yep. So there's a way to keep all 3 goalies, and they could call up Kolosov. However, if something were to happen in today's game with another injury, if somebody else gets hurt and has to come out of the lineup, that impacts that plan considerably, right? So that is the hope, that he's going to play, but they have to wait and see the result of today before they make that announcement. And then you're probably looking at getting another defenseman get called up, which, like I said earlier, is probably Andre, because you already do have one extra forward on the roster, right? So you have that. But you don't have the one extra defenseman. You only have 6 defensemen right now. So that's where.
And you put Fedotov in. Like, what if Fedotov is actually all along he's been like the next Zdeno Chara? Like, what if that's been it?
The next Zdeno Chara.
Yeah. What if Fedotov has been Chara the entire time? Just a very long, huge man.
But Chara was a hell of a player.
No, I know, but I'm saying, what if there's untapped potential?
Oh, it's possible.
Ivan Fedotov.
He's 28.
He might not be able to get low to stop the shots,
But he's 20. But he's 28, right? So
I'm joking, by the way.
Yeah, I got you. So that's really what
you got to find value where you can find it. The man's under contract for a few years.
Yeah, and that's 2 years, and that's what they're considering. So they got to wait and see what happens today, just to make sure that there's no other roster move that has to be made. But then the plan would be for Kolosov to play tomorrow night against Montreal.
Sacre bleu.
So we have a lot there. So you got injured defenseman.
Yep.
You got Luchenko going down, which we didn't even discuss.
Let us have a conversation about Luchenko.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we go back, and you don't have to go back very far, a few weeks ago, we put out the round table where we sat down, the 2 of us and Bundy, along with Hilferty, Jones, and Briere. We talked about Luchenko. We also had a conversation with them before that interview and after. Got a little bit more, I think, color. Got a little bit more background. And it seemed like all along, the coaching staff had been the side that was pushing for Luchenko. And I did see somebody tweeted at us, and I don't have it on hand. Somebody tweeted at us that, like, oh, this is proof that the rebuild's BS. The only reason Jet Luchenko was up here is because the front office wanted to lie to people and make it look like he was a first-round pick and yada, yada, yada. And I disagree with that on a few levels, including the fact that, like, they even kind of said on the show that, like, Torts is the one who was the most impressed. They were impressed with him. But it was kind of like a Torts thing. And, like, to some extent, I think some front offices, especially in the midst of a rebuild, you'll give your coach one guy, right, that you might not think is ready at that moment. You say, all right, who's your one guy? Who's the one guy that you want to go to bat for. And it seemed like it was Luchenko. And in fairness, Tortorella played him some, sat him for some, felt like there was still value in having Luchenko around the team, getting to experience travel in the NHL, getting to experience practicing at the NHL level. But ultimately, somewhere between the coaching staff and the front office, the decision was made that, like, now there's not really much more to do here. There's not much more to see. There wasn't going to be an epiphany. And I have to imagine, Ant, that, like, based on the fact that, like, his play was up and down, they've lost 6 straight, there might be a little bit of an acknowledgement internally that you might not be winning a lot right away. And it's not worth burning a year of the ELC.
Yeah, well, Danny was asked about this at the press conference today. And I mean, look, Russ, you know just as much as I do from that conversation that there was never a plan to have him make it. They could be 7-0 right now, and Jet Luchenko was still going to get sent down at some point before the 9 games. Like, that was going to happen.
The only way I think it could have not happened is some of the signs with Couturier, right? Some of the was he going to be NHL level center, right? The left wing game, like the, just
go
hold on for a
ahead,
second.
go ahead. But you're off base already. But that's right.
I think that there was a little bit too, were they worried that Couturier was not hiding an injury, but that he didn't look totally right? Was there a scenario where they said, we still just don't have good enough center depth on this team? They didn't want to have the Laughtons and Palings along with whatever Couturier is and Frost and say that that's good enough to be 4 centers, which it's really not.
Right.
There is a part of me that thinks, like, all right, if Couturier had been hurt, if Couturier had to go on IR, if Couturier had to get shut down for a few weeks, maybe. I don't know who else they could have called on, though. There's nobody. This is maybe like the one issue organizationally. There's not a center right now playing for the Phantoms that I say immediately, yes, that's the guy you call up. Now, like, if Morgan Frost gets hurt, there's a guy that you say, yeah, like, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's not the point. So the whole thing with Luchenko is, first of all, he just turned 18, right? Just turned 18. Yeah. So, like, there was never a belief that this kid was going to come in here and be a full-time player. They want him to play for Canada's World Junior team at World Juniors. That's very important. People sometimes don't understand the importance of that, but in hockey it means something to play on that World Junior team because you're playing against the best players in the world at your age group, right? And so there's a real opportunity to see where your prospect is in comparison to you're all good in comparison to
that's the second person who's kicked that light.
I know, right? In comparison to the other players of that skill set. Yeah. So that was always the most important thing. Him making the team was a reward for how he had it played at camp, how he looked, how he carried himself. He kind of surprised them. Like, there was never a plan to have Jet Luchenko start the year with the Flyers. That was not a plan coming in. And so what they do is it's a meritocracy in a lot of ways, is they give a player an opportunity to say, hey, listen, this is the reward that you're getting for having a great summer and having a great camp and showing that, that you feel like you belong. And we're going to let you hang around and get that experience and get a taste of it. Yeah. But now you go back down and you say, okay, now I know what I have to do to go back up there and stay. So it really was it was earned. It was an earned gig for him. This was not some kind of, we're just going to have him play to get everybody excited about it. Far, and anybody who thinks that doesn't really know, because this happens in this sport all the time. It happens a lot. Guys come up, and Danny, the other thing Danny said was, look around the league the last few years at the 18-year-olds who did come into the league, and look at how many injuries there were for those players, because their bodies just aren't quite developed yet. And the idea is that that's why they didn't play him in back-to-backs. That's why they were protecting him. He said there were a couple of games. He said Luchenko deserved to play the Calgary game after the way he played on opening night. He said he deserved to be in that lineup, but we weren't putting him in that lineup because we wanted to protect him a little bit. And that's part of it too. So you got to understand, there are reasons to do these things. You want this guy to be a part of your team and part of your future for the next 3, 5, 7, hopefully decade, right? That's the team's philosophy. but yet at the same time, you can't just dismiss hard work. Like if this kid came in and had that great a camp, and you just said, all right, yeah, thanks, good to see you, go back to Guelph, then maybe he thinks that it wasn't noticed or he wasn't rewarded for it.
Yeah.
But to get this, a small taste, and they knew this was a rebuild year, that there wasn't a lot to be excited for as far as this, like they weren't going to be a contender this year. So why not give him a small taste? But we knew when we had that conversation that it was only going to be a short period of time. They weren't sure how many games. The original thought that I was told preseason was that it was going to be anywhere from 5 to 9. He ended up playing 4, and was scratched for the other 3. Okay, so it was 7 games, so it was somewhere in that number, and he played in 4 of them. There's no guarantee he makes this team next year. Because it's the same boat next year, right? I mean, it's if he either makes the team.
I think he makes it.
Well, but it's not guaranteed.
Well, nothing in this life is guaranteed.
No, but I'm saying there's no you're not necessarily looking and saying we're penciling him into the everyday lineup in 25-26 right now, because you don't know. You don't know how this season progresses for him.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we say it all the time that a player's development is not linear. So it might not be. You're hoping that he continues to progress, and that yes, he could be an everyday player. But the same situation arises next year. Like if you don't think that he's going well, you have to send him back to junior. You can't send him to the AHL because he's so young. So that's got to be taken into consideration.
Could send him to the KHL. No. Before we get into more talk, I do want to get into predictions. I know that it's a little bit out of order. You didn't send me one. Bundy did. I have my prediction. Intern Andrew didn't send his. And I want to make sure that people have enough time on Twitter.
Yeah.
And in the comments
so
here.
We can do the predictions now. Go ahead.
I want to help Allison out a little bit because poor Allison. She keeps all this stuff and she maintains the spreadsheet and everything. She does get compensated, by the way. I do want people to know that we did compensate Allison for last year. She got some merch. We told her, compensate a few different ways.
Yeah.
Picked out some merch. Her daughters wanted the Bundy Bomb shirt. They got the Bundy Bomb shirt. That's what it's all about. It's like the hokey pokey. Let's go to you first. So Bundy said 4-2 Wild. Let me see if he gave a G-rated
explanation.
Version. Yeah, let's see.
No, I don't think he did.
He did not. I'm going to go 3-2 Wild. I think that there's a non-zero chance here that the Flyers fall behind 1-0, score 2, and then Minnesota kind of asserts dominance. I just don't see Minnesota losing this one. And for what it's worth, if you're like one of the Central Time Zone, yada yada. They're coming off of 2 games in Florida that they won against Florida and Tampa. So.
Yeah, they're in the middle of a long road trip. That's the one thing that you worry about. You're in the middle of a long road trip and you're playing a 1:00 game. That it's a weird time, right? So that could be an issue too. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think I'm going to stick with the Wild as well. But I think it's going to be 3-1. The one thing about the Wild is
3-1 Wild.
3-1, yeah. The Wild have been playing great defense. I think they've only allowed 2 goals per game this season on average.
And again, they're coming off some heavy hitters.
Yeah. So I think that, I like the way that they play defensively. The Flyers are struggling to score on offense. Urson's going to be in net, so you kind of think that, he can at least kind of keep them in it maybe.
Although,
I do worry about not having York.
Not having York actually could open
up a little bit. But I'm going to stick with my plan before I heard about – I thought 3-1 before I heard about York. I'm not going to change it, although I could. But I think 3-1 Minnesota is what I'll go with. So we got to go to the man, the myth, the legend, Intern Andrew.
What's his name when we bring him on the show? His name. He's not the producer. He's not the executive producer. He's not the editor. He is a man who goes by a simple title, but he is far from a simple man. Intern Andrew, welcome to the show.
I will take the Flyers 4-3. I've decided that I'm just going to keep picking them until they win. Because I don't want to be that guy that picks against them the one time that they actually break the losing streak. If they lose 75 games in a row to end the year, it's my fault. But I'm picking them until they win.
So you're putting yourself at risk to completely sabotage your chance of having the best record.
What did you go with?
I said 4-3 Flyers. The funny thing is, before the season started, I actually considered just picking against them every game. Because then I'm
mostly done that. It's worked out very well.
I'm guaranteed to be right 50 times.
There's another kick on the leg. We're just getting
Our light,
Hammered
but
over
our
here.
light is in trouble.
I
Intern,
don't,
do a favor. After you make your pick and everything.
The best part about
We
it is we
gotta
have a
fix that.
stanchion there,
There's
and
a
people are
stanchion.
still kicking it.
Well,
Yeah,
you know, it's
they don't
hard.
care.
You know, when people have to, walk.
They don't respect the boundaries.
I mean, it's a red stanchion too. Red, and we have metal, and just kick the light. You know what? You know what that means?
Yeah.
They're Wild fans undercover. Anyway, back to you.
I said the Flyers 4-3.
Okay, I'm going to tweet that out right now for all the people to respond to.
Yeah.
Okay. So, intern Andrew's out of his mind. The rest of us have done the right thing here, which is you pick the team that's more likely to win. Oh, he also didn't remove himself from the stream. That's okay. We're here. We got it. We got this.
You
on
gave
lock.
him 2 responsibilities at once.
I have many responsibilities. I execute at a high level.
He's got to pick one to do.
I just got an update. My son scored a goal. Well done, Boyo. Congratulations, that's awesome. Good job, Luca. Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Very nice. This guy. Jeez. All right. Let's have a little conversation here.
Yeah.
About the just general feeling around the team and around the city for this team.
Yeah.
We like to set the stage here. We like to take a little bit of a macro view from time to time. When the Flyer season started, the Phillies were still playing. They're not at what? What just happened?
See, Andrew is falling for.
Oh, he's feeding Evan Adkins, who you.
It's feeding the beast. There.
In fairness, that was a good comment.
I always say, don't feed the trolls.
But
whatever.
I haven't seen you eat. In fairness, so. By the way, did you listen to the end of the episode?
Well, most
the other
people.
day?
By the way,
didn't listen.
By the way,
Because if he did, he would have.
I listened part of it. I'm not the whole
You
thing.
didn't listen to the end.
No.
The names that we had for you.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you have to go back. and listen.
K-Dub, by the way, I do have a child by the name of Andrew. It's not this one, though.
Wow. So when the Flyers started the season, the Phillies were still playing. Interestingly enough, the Phillies could have been playing in the World Series last night if they didn't puke all over themselves and let us down.
That is correct.
Yet again. So the Phillies were playing. They go out in embarrassing fashion. The Eagles have a few games that are kind of embarrassing. People are waiting. They're looking. They're hoping. They're praying for a savior.
The Sixers?
That's funny. So they're waiting. They're waiting for somebody to come save them from their misery. Flyers go and get a shootout win in the first game of the season. You go, I might have something here. Power play scores. You're like, ooh. And then they lose 6 straight. Sixers are back. Sixers have gone 0-2 to start the season. They are, missing Joel Embiid and Paul George. One of those definitely to be expected, the other kind of. But this team hasn't exactly done anything to inspire a lot of confidence or get a lot of good attention in the city. How important is it, beyond the fact that they need to stop the 6-game losing streak, how important is it for them to put together a somewhat competent, let's say, first 20, 25 games? You can't be losing at this rate and get casual people. You can't get people to really pay attention to the team other than diehards at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and look, we don't want it to go completely off the rails this quick. I mean, it's not good for anybody. It's not good for us either. You imagine having to come down here, and this is only the 3rd home game, meaning we have 38 more. Could you imagine if it continues like this, and then we look at it and go, man, there's 30 home games left, and there's nothing to talk about with this team. Who wants that as part of their lives for the next 7 months? So no, I mean, obviously there is an importance to at least remain, somewhat in the conversation. Things to talk about. Obviously, we can sit here and we can look at Mishkov and talk about him, and we can talk about a couple other guys and whatever. But you do run the danger of becoming so irrelevant that there's nothing to even talk about.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that is a risk.
Yeah.
And Torts said it himself. I mean, there was a quote, I think it was on Sportsnet, I think he did an interview where, he said, yeah, we're still in a rebuild, but we need to be better than we are.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about it. I mean, you have to be better than what they are. And right now they have the worst record in the East, worst goal differential. They're really, really struggling. And if you're looking at things saying, well, maybe that gets them. This is what Russ's tank philosophy. That could get them the first overall pick. They could get Higgins. Oh my God, this could be the best thing ever. But it could also be miserable, right?
I mean, I view underwhelming teams as kind of miserable in their own way.
This could be miserable.
When you cover a team, right, or you do any kind of content around a team, you want one of two things. You want the team to be really good or really bad, because really good gets a lot of excitement, and it goes beyond just the regular fan base. It gets casual fans, gets the city talking. really bad is also good because then all of our wonderful people who come out anyway, they almost watch the car crash because they can't look away, and they're still kind of tied to it. They still love the team, but they like come here for group therapy, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And we don't even charge, right? I mean, sometimes people drop super chats, but like we don't charge for the therapy. Like in fairness, if we see this kind of skid continue, if we see them lose 6 out of 7, right? Like over the course of 30-something games, they are going to have to explore, and Bundy and I talked about this the other day, they're going to have to explore trades that they might not have wanted to in the past, like a Scott Lawton. Like they'll have to entertain it around the deadline because at that point you go like, all right, what is the upside? Like what upside does that player have longer term for this team? And like at that point, like if you say you're like 11 and 20 or some point, right? You look at it and you go, all right, this isn't our year. We're not even going to come close to competing for the playoffs. Now you have to kind of do what you do. You're not intentionally tanking. You can't do it, but you can remove some of those players that maybe stop you from getting to the bottom. You trade them. You move on from some guys, and you hope that the culture holds up and that the players stay positive. And they work hard and they try to play. But what has happened here, Ant, is like what I find more upsetting, which is you are paying a lot of these guys considerable sums of money to go out and perform, and they're not right now. And they're not finishing checks, and they don't look like they're playing a spirited brand of hockey. And in this culture rebuild, that's not what you expect. You should expect to see a team that's playing hard, even if they're not as good as the opposition.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, I will give them the little bit of credit from the other game in Washington the other night. They're down 4-0, and that looked like it was like, oh my God, this is going to be just a disaster. And they fought back and played finally for the first time, I think, all season. From that, late in that second period and through the third period, I felt like that was how the Flyers played last year in a lot of games.
Yeah, but I do think that part of it was the Capitals let off the gas a little bit.
Well, I'm sure they do. The Capitals aren't as good as their record is right now. And
so I do agree with you. Like it was a positive sign to see the Flyers fight back. But at the same time, it wasn't like you came out from the jump and did that. It was like the other team kind of went, eh.
Yeah, but to me, that's the one thing that you look at and you say, okay, the fact that they fought back like that, they didn't quit. And that's the thing that I think that there's a thing that's out there right now that, this team is quitting on the coach. And maybe ultimately in the grand scheme, they are tuning him out more now than they had.
And I think tuning out and quitting on are two different things.
Two different things, right. I think that there might be a level of tuning out right now. That's possible. But I don't.
Tuning out also implies that they could tune back in. Quitting is done. Like quitting is you have burnt that bridge and it's over.
And I think that's why even if they continue to lose some games here, I don't think that Torts is on the hot seat right now. Can he eventually get on the hot seat this season? I do think so as it progresses, but probably not until towards the end of the season. I think that he's got some time, and so that's the thing. So I don't think that they're quitting on him, but I think that there's a possibility that they are tuning him out a little bit. He tried to defend yesterday. I don't know if you saw him talk about it, but he tried to defend all the machinations of the lines and why
there's no defense.
Yeah, and I don't agree with him on that. Like I don't see how you get any continuity just because, okay, this line isn't working for a period. Now we're going to change it up. Like, okay, it didn't work for a period, but give it time. Let it see if it works. He's putting Travis Konechny on the left wing today to play with Mishkov on the right. And that's a little bit of a head scratcher to me because we were told by Jonesy and Briere that Mishkov doesn't mind playing either side.
He doesn't look as effective on the left.
But that Konechny is
a
right wing. And yet it's Konechny that's being forced to move and Mishkov is staying on the right. Because they want the two of them playing together. And maybe it's a matter of Mishkov is young and still learning the league, and so to ask him to play something he's less accustomed to, even if he's willing to do so, is not as good for his development. So you're asking a veteran guy to do something that he's not accustomed to help the young kid. I changed my
position in the seat because I'm loading up a take, but it's not a hot take because it's not a hot take if it's the right take.
Right.
There has to be an acknowledgement within the organization that ultimately, cup contending time, whenever that is, whenever they flip that switch, Matvei Michkov should end up being the more important of the two players.
Yeah.
And since he wasn't finding success on the left, and you are paying Travis Konechny a considerable sum over 8 years, yeah, go out, figure it out. Like, at least give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine.
Maybe it is a combo of that, and it's a combo of get Michkov's head back on straight, help him find that confidence. I think it should be a thing that you should expect of players, especially veterans. Like, I get it that some guys, some wingers especially, only want to play on one side. Figure it out. I'm not saying that it's identical. It's not. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
You can't just tell a defenseman, hey, you've been a right D your whole life. Like, let's put you on left and, just figure it out. But, like, again, a lot of this, for better or worse, if the losing keeps up, it does allow you to experiment a little bit more.
For sure.
Because it does take, like, there are no stakes at that point. And maybe it's another byproduct of the 6-game losing streak.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing of it is that I don't mind experimenting, but you have to, if you experiment, like, take it from science, right? Like, you don't just do a small sample experiment and say, come to your hypothesis is concluded off of the small sample size. Like, you need a bigger cohort. You need a bigger, are you responding to somebody there?
That was my nonverbal cue to Cryptic Cowboy.
Oh, okay.
He checked out the Russ Joy Show and enjoyed it. So thank you.
Well, that's good.
Available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Tuesdays and Friday mornings, 8:30 a.m.
There you go. But seriously, like, I mean, you have to let an experiment play out.
Yes.
A little bit. And so, like, I'm not ready to sit here, even though your take is not a bad one, but I'm not also not ready to sit here and say, well, Matvei Michkov can't play left wing.
No, I'm not saying that either.
He can't play left wing right now.
Yeah, he's 19.
He's 19.
Adjusting to a new league.
Correct.
Yeah.
At some point.
To be clear,
Yeah.
I'm not saying he can't play left wing.
Right.
But, like, put the kid in his more natural position, let him find the confidence, and then maybe you can kind of, like, screw around.
Right.
I know that they're probably not going to do it. I have no problem if later in the season, like, once he really is acclimated, I have no problem even seeing him get some shifts in at center, just to have a look, to have something on film and be able to go into the offseason and kind of, take a look at that as a possibility as well. Intern Andrew, anything fun going on out there in the comments right now? Anybody getting into arguments? Anybody saying that the rebuild was a sham? Anything incendiary out there?
Yeah. This Evan John Atkins really doesn't like the team.
He doesn't like the team. He doesn't like me.
Most of the time doesn't like me, but sometimes does.
He's not even real.
What do you mean he's not even real? You can't say that.
I'm not convinced that's who he really is.
A lot of torts fatigue that I'm seeing. I think they thought that the Jet Luchenko starting this season was basically just a PR stunt. It's not. Look, I'm not gonna lie. It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair though to say that it was a PR stunt.
It wasn't.
And I think everybody knows at this point that, like, of all the people on the show, the one who's not afraid to say something incendiary or throw around an accusation or two is me. It wasn't a PR stunt.
Yeah, I mean, because and the reason why it's not a PR stunt is because who's Jet Luchenko? Like, where was the excitement coming into the season for Jet Luchenko? If I remember correctly, the majority of the hoi polloi.
The who's he, what's he? Oh, and he knocked down the banner.
Well, the table's not, the wheels aren't locked, Intern Andrew.
Intern
Andrew got to lock the wheels.
Hey, Bundy and I had this conversation the other day that Intern Andrew's not committed enough. Because if you're not committed enough when the banner is falling to dive on the floor and, like, crack its front tooth or two, I don't know if you're committed enough.
No, but
look at him over there. I wish we could pan the camera, which we can't. Andrew, go stand in front of the camera. He has, like, disappointed puppy face.
You can just pull him up.
He used 3 bottles of water to put it out. There he is. He used 3 bottles of water to hold up. At one point I think I said we should get some string or some yarn or something and tie it around the tables.
Yeah.
No yarn, no string.
No, but my point.
Where's Deirdre? Where's his mom? She would. You know what? She should get on his case.
The family's in Nashville. They ran a
That's why we don't have string.
Yeah.
Wait, they ran a half marathon?
My mom ran 4 miles, but my sister and I think my aunt is down there, and my sister's friend, they ran a half marathon this morning.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Why run that far?
I don't know.
Who does that? Why? What's the point?
Yeah.
Some might be asking, what's the point of playing the game today?
But my point is, like, to go back to what I was going to say, what I was saying about Luchenko, like, there was criticism from the hoi polloi about the pick, including by you. You were one of the
Yeah, I think it was a stretch, but it's okay.
Okay, but so that's my point. Like, it's not like it was somebody that everybody was really excited for.
Yeah, it wasn't like
so. Therefore, it's like, well, we got to get them out there and get the fans excited. Like that's the opposite of the PR move.
Yeah.
Like the PR move would be to get the players that the fans are excited. Like if Oliver Bonk made the team because fans got more excited about him because of the season he had in junior last year, that would be a PR move. This was not. This was an earned.
Yeah. All right, look,
thing.
we have to roll now. What I will tell people, you can see over here on the side, past Ant's head, lock him out. We'll have the StatCast up. We do that during the first and second period and the third period. We'll be back here first intermission, second intermission, and postgame. Bundy will join us remotely for postgame. It got very quiet in here ahead of the national anthem, and we are going to switch over to our golf voices.
What are they doing a moment of silence for?
I don't know. I don't think they were. It was just the Abington Police Department were presenting the colors. Anyway, we're going to be back. First intermission. Big thank you to everybody who tuned in. Make sure you like the video. Seriously, like the video. That'll help while it's live. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. And we'll talk to all of you very soon. Barhart coming out. Number one Antimus in the National Hockey League.
Number one.
look, the camera got messed up too. Hello, welcome into the Press Row Show.
We are way off angle.
We are way off angle. One person has the job. One person has the job to make sure the camera's
It wasn't
fine.
his fault, though. Some fan walked by and bumped the camera. What are you going to do?
It didn't happen recently.
That's better.
Better is a subjective term.
Well, at least we're not, like, completely off. You're not off screen. Russ.
And
Best period of the season for the Flyers.
yes, I'm sad about it. I wanted to come on here and continue to complain. That's what I do. What's a guy to do? When he has to acknowledge the fact that the Flyers scored two goals.
My prediction is already blown up and wrong.
Mine isn't. I think I said pregame. I could see the Flyers falling behind one or two goals and then giving up or going.
No,
up.
you had
a two-goal lead.
You
and then
did
give
have
up three
2-goal lead
straight.
and give up 3 straight. You just went exactly what
So
you
you're
said.
saying there's a chance. There's still time.
There is still a chance. Yes.
What an absolutely interesting period. Let's start off with the first goal. It's Sean Couturier.
Coots, 500 points in the NHL now.
So he won't play the rest of the game. I had no idea that he put up his 500 points.
Which, by the way,
go ahead.
Just to point out something, right? I know sometimes you get coaches that say that, and I don't want to go off to a different sport here, but did you see the video with Nick Sirianni and Saquon Barkley where he walked
sitting on the bench together,
where he walked over to him and said, "You're 14 yards away from your career high."
Yeah, and Saquon Barkley, said
coaches
it's okay.
are intimately aware, no matter what they say, they are intimately aware of milestones for players. Because it matters to players, right? So the coaches are aware of those things. So anybody who tells you they're not is BSing you.
When you were asking me about a coach in a video, I thought you were going to ask me if I saw the video of James Franklin dodging questions.
Yeah. No, I saw that too.
Conference. That was something.
That was completely different topic, but yes,
totally unprofessional.
Yeah.
Not very good. Even the
for sure,
not ideal. So Couturier gets the first goal of the game. Second goal scored by
Nick Seeler,
of all people.
Yeah,
that was a nice one too. Nice
good shot. Nice shot. Although they didn't get a shot on goal after that, but they played well defensively.
Yes,
they played really well defensively. I didn't think that Urson was tested really much. I mean, got a couple saves, but nothing. That was, and sometimes Russ, that's what happens. Like you lose a guy like Cam York not in the lineup, right? And this happens a lot where you lose a player on a team and they bond together to play better in that player's absence the first time out. It's weird that happens in sports, but it becomes like a focus for the players. So I just think that's really kind of an interesting thing.
I have a stat. I know intern Andrew has a stat.
Yeah.
This is the first period. If the Flyers are able to score another goal in this game, they will become the number what team to score more than 2 goals on Minnesota this season?
First, I think. They're the first team.
That is incorrect. Intern Andrew.
Put on your microphone. Was this supposed to be your stat of the game?
It's you're like adjacent to it.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean that's fine. I'll come up with something different.
Back to the drawing board, kid.
I was just interested in it.
Intern, back to the drawing board.
So anyway, if the Flyers can score a third goal, they would only be the second team this season.
Second.
The Kraken scored 5. I believe that was in overtime in their first game.
Yeah.
There have been, I think, 2 other teams to score 2 goals this season against the Minnesota Wild.
This guy was at my wedding, by the way.
Which guy?
The guy in the Tennessee shirt right here.
Was it the wedding?
Yeah, he had to leave early, but he was there.
He was the guy that was supposed to be sitting at our table.
Yes, he was. He was supposed to be sitting at your table.
Yeah, that's right.
And had to leave early.
Yeah, we didn't know if he was actually there or not.
Yeah.
and then I think it was one of your sons was like, no, I definitely saw him.
Yeah, he was there. He was there for like a hot minute.
He bailed on the part that you spent the money on.
Yeah, that's all good. Yeah.
And by the way,
he apologized for it.
By the way, there was no handouts. We did not get to split his and his significant other's meal.
That's right. No, we didn't.
They should have brought that steak out. We would have cut that fillet up. We could have divided that.
That's right.
8 ways or whatever.
That's right.
Fine.
So, yeah. I mean, look, you take what you can get, right? You have a 2-0 lead, and this was the one thing I kind of mentioned pregame.
By the way, 2 goals on 3 shots.
I said that. They didn't get a shot the rest of the period. I said
like
after that.
16 minutes, right?
Yeah, the rest of the period after that. So this is what I was trying to say to you is that you take first of all, you take what you get. And I said this at the beginning of the game. This was when we were doing the predictions, and the one thing I said I was a little worried about was Minnesota. Even though it's a long road trip, a 1:00 start, it's a weird start time, right? So you have that kind of stuff happening. Maybe there's a chance the Flyers could jump on it. I just thought that there was too much going wrong with the team, which is why I said Flyers will only score 1 goal. But they took advantage of that early. Now, Minnesota has bounced back a little bit, and they shut down the Flyers at that point. But it'd be interesting to see what happens here going forward. The Flyers are playing a solid defensive game. Can they hold on to the 2-goal lead at this point?
I'm gonna throw intern Andrew. Do you have a stat ready at the ready? Like I don't want to put you on the spot and then you're not.
He was researching something new.
Well, you know what?
Well, I had something prepared already, and then I found out about the Wilds in the 2-goal thing, and then I was going to say that, and then Russ just took it.
That's right.
You want to just blurt out the answer to my trivia question too? While you're at it.
Look, he's getting feisty.
He is getting triggered.
Intern Andrew's getting feisty.
He's showing a little bit of grit, a little bit of hustle.
A little bit, yeah. It's good. It's good. You got a stat there, kid?
Yes. So the other night when we played in Washington, I think the score was 5-3, and then Ovechkin ended up with an empty netter.
Yeah, made it 6-3. Yeah,
855th career goal for
That's
him.
correct.
That now makes him 40 away from breaking Gretzky's record.
Yep.
It also means the Flyers are now the 4th different team in the league that Ovechkin has scored on 50 or more times. So Winnipeg/Atlanta, Carolina, Tampa Bay, and now the Flyers.
That would have actually been the good question. Who are the other 3 teams?
I would never
have
gotten the Winnipeg Atlanta.
I wouldn't have gotten Winnipeg.
Back in the day when there was 3 divisions in each conference, they were in the South.
I
never would have thought.
I would have automatically gone to
that was probably the better stat.
It might have been.
I would have automatically gone to the teams that were in Washington's division for all these years, right? Like that would have been my first guesses. So I would think we would have gotten 2 of them. Even with Atlanta, it wouldn't have registered in my head that would have been somebody to think about.
So to put it into perspective, there are 14 players that have ever gotten the 50-plus goals on 5 different teams. He's at 4 right now. As it stands, he has 44 goals against the Islanders, Maple Leafs, and I believe Florida. So if he gets 6 more goals on 2 of those 3 teams, he will become the only player in league history to have 50-plus goals against 6 different teams.
Wow.
That's pretty staggering.
And the Islanders are a team that he's got a shot to do it against, I think. The other teams, you don't play them as often, but the Islanders being in the division, he's got a shot to get 6 goals against them this year and next year. Yeah. He's probably got 2 seasons left, right?
Florida's going to be tough. Toronto gives up a lot of goals, though. So.
Yeah, but they only play them. They're in the other division, right? So you only play them 3 or 4 times each. Whereas the teams in your division, you play more than that, right? Or what is it? I forget what the breakdown is.
I don't know. You would know more.
Yeah, it's whatever it is. Anyway, point is that's pretty unbelievable. That's a good stat, Andrew. Good stuff.
Well done.
Good
Well done, young man.
Why don't we take some comments from the?
Whoa!
Oh, you went solo on Andrew.
Whoa!
Solo on Andrew there. Why don't we take some comments or questions from the?
What kind of JV production is this?
From the folks. By the way, you ever notice that our troll disappears after the pregame?
He does that sometimes. If it's all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking for all right, here we go. Tony Louie says sometimes dumb decisions can produce positive results. These line combinations are ridiculous. Frost with Hathaway and Forster. What are we doing here?
Yeah. What you have there is you have 2 guys who have really not played well around Hathaway. And I guess the idea is maybe you have an energy guy who could kind of get those 2 jump started. I think Morgan Frost was close to being pulled out of the lineup in the last game and wasn't. Ultimately, Torts decided to keep him in. It wouldn't surprise me if at some point he gets sat. But I think that they're also looking at it from the perspective of he's a guy that Torts has picked on in the past, and you could pick any number of 8, 9 players that you could pull out of the lineup. So going to Frost now would seem gratuitous, right? So you've got to punish the other guys first, but then it eventually gets to him. I think Farabee is the one that's the closest to getting pulled at this point. He doesn't look good still. Frost doesn't look good. Forster, I know he's back now, but hasn't been great. So that is a weird line. It's a strange line. I don't know. The problem is it's just not. It's not a good offense, right?
Yeah.
And the things that.
And they can't put pucks on net. I mean, it's just like...
How crazy was it? I mean, Russ, they score the first goal, The very next shift, Owen Tippett's on the ice, coming down the left wing.
Yep, has a nice breakaway, like has nobody in front of him. And it's him in the goal, and he misses like 3 feet wide. Like doesn't elevate the puck. It's like 3 feet wide of the net.
Unreal.
And like as soon as it leaves his stick, you're just like, yep, nope.
Yep.
You hear it bang off the boards, and you're just like, of course it was.
Yeah, exactly.
At some point this season, Owen Tippett's going to remember that you have to put the puck on the net.
Yeah.
And when he does, like he's going to I could absolutely envision a scenario this season where we see Owen Tippett put up 7 goals in 13 games.
Yeah, he's feeling it right now, though.
But
like,
he's
feeling the pressure right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a goal the other night, right? It was his first one of the season.
Yeah, but this is a little bit different.
This is different.
Listen, he has a relative to other players his age and on this team and everything, he has a long-term deal worth a good amount of money, and you don't want to no-show in front of the home fans. You know?
Bless you.
Excuse me, thank you. And so, like, I don't know, there's part of me that thinks he's overthinking it, gripping the stick too tight, trying to force things that aren't there, and then making the easy play, something as simple as a breakaway, not being able to put the puck on the net. He's making easy plays harder. Yeah.
Certainly is. Defensively, I thought that they looked okay that period. I give them some props. They weren't getting hemmed in. There wasn't a lot of turnovers. They kept Minnesota mostly to the outside. So I think there's some credit where it's due. I think that defensively they played pretty well that period. Yep. Listen, here's the thing. I got to bring something else up because I love when we can go off the rails like we're about to here.
I know exactly what you're going to say too.
Yeah, here's the thing. When we have Bundy here, it's so much easier for you to do whatever other work you're doing.
Yes.
Right? But when it's just the two of us,
we can make it if we try, just the two of us.
I mean, I feel like I've spoken more on today's episode.
People like more of your commentary than they do.
I think I've like filibustered longer today than I have in any episode we've ever had.
It's about time we put you to work. You left early the other night.
Yes, I left early the other night. I actually technically left early for both.
2 games.
Although I did stay till the final horn of the opener against Vancouver. I just was not feeling well that night and left early.
Yes.
But
I'm not feeling well, but I'm here. You know why? Because I believe in this show and I believe in the people who watch it. I
left early the other night to go to the
premiere of the movie.
The Wing Bowl
movie. And how was it?
It was phenomenal.
How long was your cameo?
I'm in it a lot.
No.
I was stunned by how much I'm in that.
Did you have like sit-down interviews, or was it just like, was it B-roll footage?
No. So here's the premise. So it kind of takes you through the history of Wing Bowl from its very beginnings, first year, up through the 26th one, and then why WIP canceled it and everything else. And WIP didn't willingly participate in this production of this film because they wanted to kind of separate themselves from Wing Bowl. So they had a hard time getting WIP people. They couldn't get anybody who was currently employed at the place. So they asked former producers to go on. And of course, I was there for Wing Bowls. I think I was there from 6 to 12, I think, or 6 to 11 were the Wing Bowls that I worked. And so I sat down with them last summer. It was the summer of 23. And I sat down for like an hour and 10 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes with them. And we just talked about Wing Bowl, like my memories of it and things like that. And I guess in the process, I talked about a lot of historical moments in it. And as you watch this film, I tend to be like the historian that narrates like what happens from one year to the next. And I was not intending to be that person, but that's kind of how it played out. I didn't think going in, I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I thought it was just going to become kind of like a little cheesy thing. This is stream like Netflix worthy. Like it's really that good. Yes, they did an amazing job. In fact, I'm taking the family to see it again tonight. It's the second night of the Philadelphia Film Festival. It's going to be there tonight.
Our invitation must have gotten lost in the mail.
Are you going to come down to Center City at 10 o'clock at night?
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I might have if you had invited me. Guess we'll never know.
Call Nancy, see if we can get a sitter. Come on down.
We'll never know. No, it's too late now. I have plans. I actually do have plans tonight.
Okay.
I'm serious. I have plans tonight.
All right. Andrew, you're welcome to come.
To quote Kamala Harris in that one rally, don't come. Do not come.
Yeah. Go down the street. Go down the street.
Then there's that Trump one. I'm going to get... Never, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back out to the comments.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's good. The next one's good. My sister checked in over on Facebook. When will Nate Bargatze be on the show?
You know,
She hadn't seen Nate Bargatze before, and I was like, hey, I feel like there's a strong resemblance here. And so I sent her the Washington clip from SNL.
Yeah.
And she, it blew her mind.
It was unbelievable. So the funny thing is, we know Max, the guy who does the in-arena stuff here at Wells Fargo Center, and they have that that thing that they do with the fan lookalike, every game.
Yeah.
And so last game, I sent him a text. I said, when are we going to see Russ and Nate Bargatze? And he looked at it and he goes, oh, my God, I never realized just how spot on that is. I said, I think that's one of the games you're going to have to catch him on camera and do it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Nate Bargatze is actually coming to town for a show
We gotta
at
set
Wells
that
Fargo
up.
Center. That is easy content.
We've got to set it up. When he comes to town, we have to get it that we do bring him on Snow the Goalie.
That would be the funniest thing ever.
It would be hysterical.
We'd flank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 Russes.
Yeah.
On either side.
One significantly more successful than the other.
Yes.
But his career's been fine. I mean, he's not me yet, but he could be someday. All right. Let's just see really quick. Tony Louis says, it seems like Couturier is the only guy on the team willing to go in the blue paint. Tortorella needs to tell these guys to stop in front of the net instead of just cruising by it.
Yeah, I will say that you see Mishkov get down there around the net, that playing like the thing that Danny Briere used to do so well, like right around the posts, behind the net, and then post to post behind the net. And he's willing to get down there and get dirty if the puck's there. But usually on the power play, not so much at 5-on-5. We need to see more of it at 5-on-5.
I think that's probably a good place for us to end the first intermission show. Now, we will be back second intermission as well as postgame. We are expecting Bundy to report in on remote via satellite. It's like an old pro wrestling promo. What's happening?
Oh.
What are you looking at?
I thought that was somebody else that it is walking by.
No, it was just a guy in a suit.
I thought it was Mark Recchi.
That was not Mark Recchi.
It looked like him for a second.
It was not Mark Recchi.
It was not him, though.
Head shape was wrong.
I was like, why is he here? But it's not him.
Mark Recchi's taking over John Tortorella. You heard it here first. All right. Time for us to go. We'll be back. Second intermission and post game. So make sure you check back in. And if you haven't done so already, seriously, if you're over on YouTube especially, like the video. It helps more Flyers fans who are looking for coverage around this game find it. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, leave a comment.
I'm doing the Bundy.
You're doing the Bundy walk away? It's because he has somebody over here that he wants to chat with. Well, intern Andrew, it's just me and you. Why don't we just talk through the period? Now, you want to do that?
Yeah. What's on your mind?
Well, you see, intern Andrew, let me ask you real quick. What were your thoughts on the first period?
Just I would say basically that's what I saw that period.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, you got it.
That's good.
Good
On
insight.
the first period there from intern Andrew. All right.
Yeah. I'm out of breath. I've been talking for like 20 minutes.
It was longer than that. All right, anyway, welcome back into the Press Row Show, the number one rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi, south of the Arctic Circle, north of the equator. And, yeah.
It's a crazy game when you can be that dominated
And dominated they were.
for that long
Yes.
and still be tied.
Indeed.
It's a crazy sport sometimes.
They actually had a lead there for a little bit.
For a lot of it.
They had a lead.
Yeah, gave it up, took it back,
it
and
back.
gave it up again.
Yes.
So,
Not the, no, I'm saying the Flyers. The Flyers took a 3-2 lead there. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. 2-0. Yeah. Gave it up. Yeah. Yeah, my brain's broken.
Well,
From what I saw in the second period.
Your brain's broken when you're watching a team have a total of 6 shots through 2 periods.
We actually did look up the fewest. Is this part of your trivia or no? Okay. So we did look it up. What the fewest number of shots the Flyers have ever had on goal in a single game was. You have to go back to, not that long ago. March of 2023, the Flyers at the Ottawa Senators, March 30th, 2023. That was a 5-4 loss. The Flyers scored 4 goals in that game.
I remember
despite the fact that they only put 11 shots on net.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, they're currently on pace for 9 shots.
Yeah, they are on pace to break their all-time record for fewest shots in a game.
I mean, call me crazy. Would I like to be part of history? Would I like to be able to say someday, I remember that day we were down there. We watched the Flyers put up 9 total shots in a 4-3 win. Shootout. If there are hockey gods, they will send this game to a shootout. The Flyers will finish with single-digit shots and will get a shootout.
Well, I don't think
the hockey gods hear us.
To be fair, I think it would be really hard to get single-digit shots with the extra 5 minutes at 3-on-3.
Not how they're playing. Absolutely not. Not how they're playing. Now, let's take one of the big positives. Obviously, the thing that probably has the people the most excited. Matvei Mishkov with a confident goal. One that looked like one from a couple nights ago.
Yeah,
like almost to a T.
Yeah,
same spot.
He seems to like
coming around the circle.
He seems to like that play from the blue line where he goes right to left and creates traffic in front and snaps a shot from distance that beats the goalie. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great play. Teams will start to catch on to that a little bit if it becomes a thing, and they'll start throwing themselves in front of that a little bit more, especially as the season progresses. Teams are less inclined to try and block shots in October than they are, come February, March, right? But that's certainly a thing that the Flyers should be happy with. Granted, it occurs with an extra, it's a delayed penalty, so there is an extra guy on the ice.
Right.
But nevertheless, I mean, look, other than that, that was like the lone positive of that period. You know what I was going to say was the positive of that period?
That it ended.
No, and people don't know this unless they're here in the building, but you'll see it soon on social media. Gritty, Gritty's got the Gritty corner like down below where we sit, right? And he's down there with his fans and everything. So we saw the 2 handlers come up here onto the balcony level, and we're like, I guess we're getting Gritty up here. But then we noticed he was down below. They were throwing marshmallows from up here down toward Gritty and see if he could catch him in his mouth. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, there's no way in hell that Gritty is going to catch a marshmallow from up here. Third try. Now imagine
way up here in the balcony.
Yes.
They stood over on the other side of the organ because you have to account for, I guess the breeze in the building and the HVAC system. There's a blower like right there.
Yep.
Yeah. Third shot. And as it happened, you were in the process of saying, how the hell are they going to...
Yeah, I was stunned. I was totally stunned. That was going to be the highlight of the period.
Yep.
So make sure you guys look for that on social. I'm sure it'll be on
Instagram yet.
It'll be on Gritty's social. It'll be on the Flyers social. It was really, really cool. But that was the highlight until Mishkov's goal.
John Tortorella should take that clip of them dropping a marshmallow from way up here and landing it in Gritty's mouth and then show it to Owen Tippett and say, now explain to me how you can't hit the puck from 3 feet away.
How about
Morgan
that play?
Frost? How about we talk about Morgan Frost, that wonderful, beautiful tic-tac-toe play where it's like, Oh, that might have been one pass too many. Oh, that's definitely two passes too many. Oh, we just missed
a 2-on
wide
and didn't get a shot on goal.
on the backhand.
2-0.
Horrific.
2-0.
Not good.
Didn't get the shot on goal. That's completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. Like that's something that the worst team in hockey does. Not to say that this is the worst team, because I think San Jose is the worst team in the sport, but that's something that the worst team does. You can't have that happen. The one thing I will say is that there are guys that seem to have regressed through the first 8 games of this season.
Name names.
And that's not a good sign. And
put some names there.
Morgan Frost is one of them.
Yep.
I mean, and look, I've never been a Morgan Frost guy. I've always been on the other side of it. I know Bundy is kind of with the Bill Meltzer belief that there's something there. I don't see it, and I think it's gotten worse over the first 8 games. We've already talked about pregame about Tyson Forster taking a step back. He was a 20-goal scorer last year, and I know he scored the first goal of the season, and he's been non-existent since. Joel Farabee needs a change of scenery in my mind. Like,
wow,
I can't. He is so not there. Like, he's not the guy he was 2 years ago. Just not, or 3 years ago now. Maybe it is. It's been so long since he's been consistently good that I don't know. I think that he needs something else. Owen Tippett, I think he's fighting. We talked about that too, Russ, pregame. He's got to get shots on. He just misses the net constantly.
All the time.
And that's a problem to me.
Especially for a guy that you thought was going to potentially be your next. I think they thought he was going to be a 30-ish goal scorer.
Well, he could be.
He's got the ability. I'm not saying that he can't be. I'm saying I think their internal expectations for him were to kind of blossom into being the 30-goal guy.
And I think he could be. I think that he's got the skill to do that. But in order to be a 30-goal scorer, you have to put the puck on net. To be an any goal scorer, you have to put the puck on net.
You don't put the puck in the back of the net, you're probably not going to score a lot of goals.
That's Charlie Manuel for you. You like that?
It's good. It's good.
Now, it is the second intermission, and we will have further conversations here about how the second period went. But we'd be remiss if we didn't throw it over to intern Andrew for everybody's favorite time in the show.
By the way,
what?
Did anybody understand what we did at the beginning of the period here?
No, he talked the whole time.
No, I know. I just wanted to see if people got it. Because it might have been. It might have been. It might have been.
You are effectively ruining
No, it might have
bit.
been an internal joke. I saw no comments on it. Like, nobody said anything. So I was like, oh, did they find that entertaining, or was that something that just amused us? So anyway, but go ahead. You can throw it to intern Andrew.
I tried to, and then you kind of.
Well, I just want to I wanted to give the viewers an opportunity to chime in.
I'm just playing around over here with all the different setups. My special setup that I had for intern Andrew to be like filled in.
Did you see that new thing
It's
now
gone.
where on StreamYard you can do circle?
Yeah, but
layout?
it's gone now. Like, what the heck happened to intern Andrew? Like, we don't have the nice thing. Did you break it?
I didn't touch a thing.
I don't think so.
Intern Andrew, if you broke it, there we go.
Okay.
We have to figure out how to do it.
We
I
got
don't have
there.
to swap it every time.
Honestly, I wouldn't have cared if you had just kept swapping it the entire time. That actually would have been funny. People would have been dizzy, but
you know what? Hold on. I might be able to adjust. All right, continue.
Okay, so I actually do wish Bundy was here for this one, so I'd be curious if he remembered it or not, because I believe he did TV for this game. So this was February 25th, 2016. The Flyers are here hosting the Wild, and you have to remember, at this point in the season, the Flyers were in the middle of a very, very heated race for that last wild card spot in the Eastern Conference, which fortunately they did end up getting. But thanks in large part to what I'm about to tell you, the Flyers are clinging to a 3-2 lead against Minnesota late in the game. And the Wild have their goalie pulled, extra attacker on the ice, and I think with like 1.6 seconds or something. Oh, there! Look at that.
There it is. Okay.
It's a floating head.
That actually makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't think I like that.
You're uncomfortable with that? Okay.
Yeah, that's all right. It's fine. I don't care. With about 1.52 seconds left, Michael Neuvirth made, I think, the greatest save I've ever seen. Diving, cross crease, just stuck the paddle out, and the puck hit his stick, went straight down, and he basically just landed right on the goal line, and somehow it stayed out. I don't know how. Flyers hang on to that win. I'm like the mice at the bottom of the screen in you ever seen Babe?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
we
me.
ever see Babe?
That's me.
Anyway, continue. Stop getting so distracted, Andrew.
It was the greatest save I've ever seen. Who was the wild player that took that shot?
And
I think Bundy would know this because he was between the glass for this game. And he was, yeah.
The wild player who took that shot. Holy smokes.
it was a wild shot.
I mean, you're going back. Like, way back.
He's trying to look it up.
Nah, I can't look it up. I'm just trying to think of who could possibly be on that team.
I don't think anyone's gotten it yet in the chat.
Repeat it one more time.
It was a wild player.
Do you remember this save, first of all?
No, I don't. So I'm just trying to think of who was on that team in 2016.
It was a wild player?
Yeah.
It wasn't what's his nuts, was it?
Michael Granlund.
No. I think he was on the ice, though. But
Was he really?
Yes.
All right.
Who was the guy that Fletcher drafted that he actually did a good job with? Was Kaprizov.
Yeah, no,
That was later.
That was after.
later, though.
Yeah.
Could it have been Ryan Suter?
It could have been, but it was not him.
Was it Zach Parise?
No.
I saw someone mention one, and I'm going to throw this out there, and might be a good guess. Darryl Powell.
No.
What position did the player play?
He's a forward.
He is a forward. I'm honestly at a loss.
Jason Zucker.
He's in Boston right now.
Kevin Hayes. I'm just kidding. Well, he might be in Boston right now. He might be. I don't know. Does he have an apartment up there or something? See, I almost went Kevin Hayes to Biz to Ryan Whitney, who was out complaining
Coyle?
that he was catching heat for a
Charlie Coyle.
Charlie Coyle.
Now I know why you made
I have
that
it
question.
pulled up on YouTube. But can you show it or no?
We might get a DMCA takedown.
All right. How about can you just show the still photo?
Yeah. Pull it up full screen on your computer. Like click the image. Oh boy. This is why we can't do things that aren't
There.
well, that's not ideal, but okay.
Oh, that's good.
You're telling me you don't remember that? I can't. But that's the greatest save I've ever seen.
Is that better than Bush's save,
Yes.
where he was blind and threw his arm out back like that in the playoffs?
Yes.
Intern
Absolutely.
Andrew's too young.
Higher
He's too
stakes.
young.
Higher stakes in that, but this was absolutely.
And Tara Ninamaki made at least 40 saves like that.
I guarantee you, he did not.
Yeah. All right, good. Nice save, Michael Nui there.
That's correct. I can't believe how much you guys are lowballing this. This is.
You think we're underselling?
I thought this question was going to be so much more popular.
Tough question.
Coyle? Yeah.
Charlie Coyle. Whatever.
You know what? Give us a rating in the comments section on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Scale of one.
Isn't there a thing with you and Charlie Coyle?
Let's go with a stars.
With me and
1
Charlie
star
Coyle?
is
No.
it was really bad. 5 stars is it was a great trivia question. Let us know in the comments how many stars do you give star rating for that question. 1 to 5.
Was he a guy who played in Big Ten or something? Or
No.
Okay.
No, Charlie Lindgren.
That's who.
He
Okay,
played at
that's
Minnesota.
Charlie Lindgren. That's what it was.
Killed
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
I see no ratings yet, Andrew. They're so disappointed in your trivia that they're
I'm
not even giving you a star
stunned
rating.
that you guys don't remember this save.
Oh,
Maybe Bundy
4.6
would
from
have.
Jake Rebby, 3.5 from Mike Woods, who's right over there. Mike is here in person, listening to the Press Row Show while simultaneously watching it.
I want to do like Chef Reacts. It's a 1.
Are they rating the
But I
question
totally
or are
eat
they
it.
rating the
But I
save?
totally eat it.
But I totally eat it.
Or I believe in eating it every time. We're getting 2, 2.5, 2.13.
Whatever.
Wow. Intern Andrew, he puts a lot of work into these folks. Puts a lot of work. He puts a lot of work into these trivia questions, and the people that don't appreciate him, they don't appreciate his guys' questions at all.
It was too early today for that. That was one of
That was a real thinker's question.
that was a thinker question. Charlie Coyle.
All right, let's get it back to the hockey. Let's get it back to the game at hand. We have about 3 minutes until the third and decisive period. Typically, I ask Bundy, what do the Flyers have to do in the first 5 minutes of the period?
Get the bleeping puck on net.
I didn't ask you yet.
Well,
I said typically I do that, but I wasn't asking. That's,
yeah, I
that's
was saving you the effort of repeating
let me
yourself.
See if I can call Bundy and get him to answer on the put the puck on net.
Yes.
Do you think that that's important for a hockey team?
One thing I will say, I don't think other than Coots in this game, and maybe you could extend this beyond this game, there's nobody getting to the net.
Yes.
Nobody's getting in front.
That to me was even a problem last year. Remember?
Yeah, and that's part of it. It's not just about getting the pucks on net. I mean, you've only got 6 shots. 3 of them have gone in, so good shooting percentage. But it's you got to get the pucks to the net for sure. But you also got to get bodies in front so that maybe not only hey, if they block it, okay, but maybe the puck just sits there, and you get a dirty goal, you get a trash goal, but that's okay. You'll take it.
Fishy had a comment over there on YouTube that I think is a fair one, saying the Flyers are built soft. They don't have a lot of guys right now who are mucker grinder types. They don't have a lot of guys who look desperate enough. You think especially for a goal scorer, if you can't make it work, if you can't get the finesse to work, if you can't outskill, sometimes you just have to get dirty. They don't have guys who feel intrinsically motivated to do it. It's weird. Listen, it's not like I watch every game in this league from every team, but I can't think of a lot of teams off the top of my head that are so it's almost like risk averse. It's almost like they're allergic to being in the blue paint. What are we doing?
It's how how woefully inept they are down the middle.
Yeah, okay.
And really, that's the problem. I mean, think about it. You're asking Sean Couturier, who's at this point in his career a third line center.
Wow.
Well, really, could he be better than that? Yeah, but we have to see his body can take it and he can play at that speed. I'm not certain that he can be a top line guy, but you're asking him to play top line minutes, and he's doing the best he can. But beyond that, what do you got? We've already talked about how Morgan Frost isn't doing anything. I think Ryan Paling's had a bad game, probably a bad few games.
Garnet Hathaway takes lots of.
Well, he's not a center.
I'm just noting in general.
Noah Cates is to me a not a.
I don't know if he's an NHL player.
He's a tweener, right? So what do you got down the middle? You don't have. That's who's supposed to be there.
What do you have going down the middle? The opposition, because I predict that the Minnesota Wild run this. But as I said earlier, if the hockey gods are listening, single-digit shots at the end of regulation, please get this to a shootout. It'd be the worst win possible. Oh, that sounds like a siren. Sounds like they're warning people. There won't be double-digit goals. There won't be double-digit shots. Run away! Intern Andrew, before we roll out of here, what do you expect the final score of this game to be?
4-3.
4-3?
That was my pregame prediction.
Yeah, but who's going to be the one to put the puck in? Oh, welcome into the Press Row Show post-game. A game that we knew all along the Philadelphia Flyers were going to win. We knew it from opening puck drop all the way to the end. Philadelphia Flyers, we knew they were going to win the game. Okay, maybe not exactly how we thought they would get there. Certainly not a game that played out the way that any of us had predicted. The only person to pick up a point on the night is intern Andrew. The only person to pick the Flyers to win this one. Bundy did not. Ant did not. I did not. And in fairness, as that game unfolded, it certainly appeared as though the Flyers were going to blow every opportunity they had to win it. And I'm actually going to bring intern Andrew on because what you're seeing over here is capital J journalism. As this absolute stud muffin over here continues to write a story for the Associated Press. He's on a deadline. Look at him. But I have Bundy. Do I have to worry about the Associated Press or deadlines? No, I don't. But Ant is here. Bundy is not. He's still on assignment. He might be checking in remotely at some point. He might not. We don't know. But I'm going to bring on intern Andrew to break down a little bit of this game. What we saw out there tonight, most notably, a heck of a return to form from the captain, Sean Couturier, who goes out and nets a hat trick tonight. Intern Andrew, let me throw it to you, and then we'll throw it out to the comments. We'll open it up over on YouTube and X and Facebook. And if you're on X, make sure you click the video first and then comment in there in the Periscope view, and then we can pull up your comment on the screen. Intern Andrew, your thoughts in the immediate aftermath of a 7-5 Flyers win.
So I think that when we did post-game here Tuesday after the loss to the Capitals, this is basically what Bundy was saying he wanted to have happen on Wednesday, which was like facing adversity. It's not been great this season. How about this team goes out and shows some heart? Well, admittedly, they didn't on Wednesday. I think that this is what he was talking about tonight, and it's great that the captain got the hat trick. Who was it? Was it Cates that gave him the pass at the end? Threaded the needle on that empty netter.
I don't know who it was.
I can't remember, but it was good that he was able to get him the puck and get him the hat trick. I think he needed that for his psyche. The team needed this for their psyche. So,
are you saying that as goes Sean Couturier and his mentality, so goes the Philadelphia Flyers?
He's the captain of the team. How could you not think that?
Just asking.
So and they.
Does that look like a fourth line left winger to you? Okay, I'm done. I'm not doing it again.
I don't know. So they took the lead early in the period, and then, like you said, they coughed it right up. The fact that they were able to pull it together, tie it up, and then take the lead with 2.5 minutes left, I think speaks to this team actually has a little bit of fight in them, which is good. It's encouraging because I was worried that this they were just going to roll over.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on the pregame show. We were talking about the fact that on Thursday's game, the Flyers kind of fought their way back in when they had every opportunity to roll over and totally die. And now, in fairness,
saw a little bit of it in the Seattle game, I thought, too.
Yeah, but on Thursday, part of that is also Washington got out to the 4-0 lead, and then they probably took the foot off the throttle a little bit, took the foot off the gas. But the Flyers did kind of fight back. Tonight was a totally different story. You get out to a 2-0 lead, where they had it was 3 shots in the first period, so they had 2 goals on 3 shots. By the end of the second period, the Flyers had 6 shots on goal.
And 3 goals.
And we were joking that, at this pace, they'll have 9. During the intermission, we even talked about the fact that the fewest shots they've ever had in a game was 11 in 2023 against Ottawa. They lost that game 5-4. And then all of a sudden, you look at the final stats. They end up with 23 shots.
Yeah, Minnesota only outshot them by 3 after it was all said and done.
Which kind of goes to show you just what a frantic third period it was. Now, in fairness, do I think that the Flyers deserved to win this game for their 60-minute effort? Absolutely not. Did they deserve to win it, particularly based on the second half of the second period and definitely into the third? Yeah, there's a case to be made that they deserved it. They fought, they clawed away, and ultimately they made it happen. Sometimes you can't just hope for puck luck. Sometimes you just have to make it work. Sometimes you have to grab the game by the huevos, by the huevos.
The what?
The huevos.
One more time?
Los huevos, Sometimes you have to grab them by the huevos. And when you do, you're taking your own fate in your hands. And that to me is what that third period was. It just felt like they kept getting hit back. They kept getting themselves back into it, giving it up. Fantastic third period performance.
Yeah, got scrappy at the end there.
Rasmus Ristolainen. You may have heard of the man. Can you turn that off? Thank you. this guy over here. And he can't even move. This is journalism. The people who are watching on live with us or watching after the fact on YouTube, they get to see it. The podcast people won't get to see it, but they'll hear a little bit of that. But Risto has had one heck of a weird Flyers tenure. Even to this point in the season, hasn't looked particularly good at any point. Tonight, arguably his best game, maybe of his Flyers career, certainly his best game of the season.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah. All things considered. Listen, the best thing you could ever hope to get out of Rasmus Ristolainen is a performance that nobody's talking about, right? Bundy always talks about it. Defensemen, sometimes it's better to have...
It's like defensive backs in football.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just better to not have them actively as a talking point after the game.
If you don't hear their name, it's a good thing.
Exactly.
What'd I miss?
Well, you missed a lot, and, I'm glad that you got your story in, and, you started talking, and your mic was on. So, Douglas, did Douglas submit your story?
Yeah, so the AP, they weren't answering the main line. I called it 4 times.
I love that.
And so finally I had to look up the Dayside editor's personal number and gave him a call and said, yeah, you got my story. So
the Associated Press is very clearly prioritizing Anthony's story today. They were waiting with bated
breath for wild Flyers.
It's going to be front page of the Times tomorrow.
It turns out that, in fact, they were some pretty wild Flyers, especially in that third period, Anthony.
I don't know it was 2 different games, right? I mean, what we saw in the first 2 periods and versus what we saw in the third period was night and day. 17 shots in that third period. They had 6 in the first 2 periods. Yeah, 17 in the third period. And they scored 4 goals on those 17 shots. Sean Couturier was a menace today. So was Rasmus Ristolainen.
We were just giving Risto
25 minutes on the ice. Played a lot, but he was really good in the defensive end. And then you get a play there on what ends up being the game-winning goal, where he's a guy that's normally stay at home at the blue line, not really going to be one of those guys that pinches or anything like that. And he crashes the net.
Yep.
Right. I mean,
and look, we spent the second intermission. Remember. Second intermission.
Talking about
we were talking about nobody getting anywhere near the net. It was like the blue paint was lava, right?
Yeah.
And then there he was in the third.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, look, I think Coots would have banged that in just as easily as Risto did. But the reality of it is when you have that 2 guys go into the net to try and get that game-winning goal, the defenseman has to make a decision. Like, which one am I going to try and take away, and lets the other guy kind of be available. Coots was free. Risto was actually fighting through the check and got it in there. So, good on him. Good on the Flyers for waking up when they had to. They're not going to be thrilled overall with the entire effort in the game, but I think that, again, for the second game in a row where it looked like the team could have, just sleepwalked through a third period after the way they played in the first 2, this team was there and they woke up. So it's good to see them, not quitting on themselves in those third periods. And this time they were able to get a win, unlike in Washington.
I want to go back to this comment here on YouTube from Lawrence Fine. Thanks for checking in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I don't usually plug that too much on this show, but make sure you subscribe to the channel. You hit the like button. The like button is important. And then you can share the video. But subscribing is also very important. Commenting, all that. You get it. But Lawrence checks in and says, Ersson led in a brutal goal from the blue line. I thought that was the backbreaker, but they fought back. That was the game tying goal, right? At 5 apiece. That was the one that went through stick side, by his elbow.
Yes.
Where you're just like, and it like flutters too. He doesn't even make strong enough contact, like where there's a rebound. It just kind of sneaks in through, kind of squeaks through, and you're like,
Yeah, it wasn't his greatest game. But hey, sometimes games get like that, right? Where, I mean, even, if you're Wild, you're looking at it after 2 periods and you're sitting there saying to yourself, how the heck are we tied 3-3 with the fact that we've only allowed 6 shots through 40 minutes? So, it's a weird hockey game sometimes. And today was certainly one of them. Wasn't the best game for either goalie.
Yep.
A lot of guys, we can sit here and we can criticize a number of players for their overall games. But there were enough guys who really wanted it. I thought Konechny had a great game today, too. That top line, I thought, was really good. Konechny on the left with Coots in the middle and Mishkov on the right. I think they really had a great game. And like we said, we talked about Risto having a really strong game. So, there were a handful of players who carried the load for the Flyers today. And those 4 or 5 guys earned the 2 points.
We talked about this during one of the intermissions, but the Flyers now become the only team to score more than 5 goals against Minnesota this year. Only the second team to score over 2 goals.
Yeah, and the first one to do it for 5 or more in regulation.
Yeah.
First one.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Coming
absolutely wild. You see what I did there?
Coming into today, Minnesota had only trailed in total 6 minutes and 51 seconds this year.
That was a damn good stat.
I wish I had that for my AP story.
Oh, sorry.
Do your own work.
I'm gonna send it back to you real fast.
Intern Andrew should get a little side gig writing for the. Why doesn't Intern Andrew write for snowthegoalie.com? These are questions we have.
Wow, we've discussed that, haven't we?
I don't know what else I would say.
I don't know if he can write. Can he write?
That would be it. That would be a headline.
Yeah, what you would call a strong grip on the English language.
Headline: Until today, the Minnesota Wild had only trailed 6 minutes and 51 seconds the whole season.
Yeah.
And then you click the story, and that's it. There's nothing else there.
What else do you need?
With a link back to the press row show. I love it.
Nothing else there.
That's it. That's the content. All right, let's go ahead and see if there's anybody in the comments. Now, I do see a lot of people. There is, and you're going to find this shocking, and especially this time of year. If you think back to a year ago, there is a player that many people have comments on right now, and that is a young Morgan Frost. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah.
Played 11 minutes tonight, -2 on the night.
And
11 minutes, -2.
He got an assist on that power play goal. Shot it off the back wall, and I think it was Coots' goal, right, where he jams it in. But other than that, I thought he was not good. I didn't think the third line was good at all. That Frost, Farabee, Lawton, I guess, is that line, right? That I didn't think that line was great today. It was just it's weird. It was a weird game. There's a lot of things you could sit there and say, all right, if we want to really, really analyze, break it down, you could probably come up with more negative than positive. But you just won the game. So why beat them up? They did a nice job against a good team. Why beat them up? There are things I'm sure that Torts will address. I mean, I know they have to play again right away tomorrow, so there's not going to be a lot of film time. There'll be some meetings pregame tomorrow. There won't be a morning skate, so they'll have some meetings, and I'm sure that stuff will be shown to them. But it won't be I don't think you sit there and destroy them for that. I think they deserve it. They had a good game.
Before the game, we had a conversation about Jetlachenko. We have to do a little recap here in the postgame because only postgame goes into the podcast feed, so we're going to help those people out. Pre-game, Danny Briere met with the media, let everybody know Jetlachenko. He's going back to
Guelph of the Ontario Hockey League.
Not the Gulf Coast. He's going to Guelph. He's going back. Season's done with the Flyers. Thank you for playing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your contribution. So he's gone. It has opened the door, potentially, to an Alexei Kolosov sighting. Perhaps this week. There are no other injuries sustained in this game.
Assuming nobody got hurt in this game today.
Cam York, we do know, is going to be out for a few weeks. They're hoping 2, based on the Flyers' medical prognosis record of late, probably longer than 2. Who knows? Who's to say? But possibility Alexei Kolosov could get a look, maybe even as early as Sunday. Who knows?
I won't say possibility. I think at this point, barring an injury that we're not aware of yet that happened today, which I don't think there was one, Alexei Kolosov will be your goaltender tomorrow night against the Montreal Canadiens.
That sounded pretty definitive.
Well, again, I gave the caveat that barring an injury that we don't know of that occurred in today's game, Alexei Kolosov will be the goalie for tomorrow night's game. And the reason is they don't want to put Fedotov on waivers to make that happen. So they have to kind of, in order to have to keep 3 goalies, they need a defenseman because they only have 6, right? So they're going to need another defenseman to be called up. I'm pretty confident it'll be Emil Andre, although you never know. It could be somebody else. But they have an extra forward right now. Bobby Brink was out of the lineup tonight, right? So you don't need to call up a forward to replace Luchenko. So you'll call up a defenseman, and I think they're going to call up Kolosov. Their plan is to call up Kolosov to start tomorrow night. That's from.
So what you're saying?
A very good.
So what you're saying is that tomorrow when we're doing the press row show, 6:30 start for pregame.
Yes.
We don't have a guest tomorrow, right? Do we?
Well, I'm sure we'll have a media guest tomorrow.
No, but I mean like a guest. We don't have like.
And we don't have anybody scheduled. No.
It's a 6:30 start tomorrow.
Yeah.
It could be history. Alexei Kolosov's first start as a Philadelphia Flyer, starting a new chapter, a new era of orange in net. Big moment.
It's the right team to play him against. I thought. Like if you had to pick between the two, well, I mean, Minnesota was going well, right? Montreal's kind of towards the bottom of the, of the league. They're not the worst team, but they're also not. I don't think they're a playoff caliber team. So
Les playoffs sont aussi.
I think it's a good game to get his feet wet.
I like it.
I do worry a little bit about.
What's your concern?
They had to play a lot of guys big minutes today, and now you're going to ask them to come right back and play their third back-to-back in 9 games to start the season. That you worry that maybe your defensive structure isn't as sound as you'd like it to be in a goalie's first NHL start. So like that's the one little. I'm sure it's a worry for them too. But I think they have to damn the torpedoes at this point and see what they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's a concern, and then I guess I'm looking at the on ice minutes for guys on this team. Let's see, all situations. So you were mentioning before that Risto played 25. Sanheim played 27 minutes 49
Yeah.
seconds. Good God. Konechny, 18 minutes and 45 seconds. Drysdale, 17:46. Sealer 18:39.
Yeah.
Lawton 17:37. So you look.
Those are normal.
But then you fly all the way down to the bottom, and that's where I think it does get a little bit more interesting. A lot of people have been complaining about Igor Zamula and about his minutes, just over 14 minutes tonight.
That's what a third pair defenseman should play.
But you get Morgan Frost, 11 minutes. Noah Cates, 7 minutes 52 seconds. Delorier, 6:15.
Yeah, I mean they're the fourth line guys. I'm okay with that. I mean
Frost though getting 11.
Yeah, what was Farabee at?
Farabee 15:58.
It's more than I thought.
Though I would like
he was
to
so
see
invisible.
I would like to see a breakdown there by period though, which I can't find right now. But
you know what Tort said yesterday. He said
did he say?
He said to be fair to Joel. He said he might have to come out of the lineup. He said, but to be fair to him, I have to give him an opportunity to play. Because he was complaining. I guess he had to sit down with Farabee because he sat him for a long period of time the other night in Washington. He only played 8 minutes or whatever it was. And he said, I had a long talk with Joel. And to be fair to him, I have to give him a chance to play more and before I decide to take him out of the lineup. And it might come to that where I have to. He said, but I have to give him an opportunity. So he gave him the opportunity. Gave him 15 plus minutes. I mean, that's what you expect. That's probably, even a minute or two more than usual, than you would think out of the third line guy. Did he do anything in your mind in that game that said, oh, man, we got to keep giving him those 15, 16 minutes?
No, but I'm looking at Farabee's line mate. So we know that Torts likes to play these guys in pairs. You want to take a guess of who he played the most minutes with?
Lawton?
Yeah. 12 minutes, 51 seconds. He did get just under 9 minutes on the ice with Paling as well. I don't know what the plan is going to be. See, it's weird. If you go back a couple of years to what this team thought Farabee was going to grow into, and then you look at what he is right now, and I think if we had an honest conversation with a lot of those people, it'd be a very different picture of what kind of contribution they really do think he.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I don't think that a lot of people want to criticize the coach for, player development under him, and young players don't develop well, blah blah blah. I don't buy it. I don't buy that. I do think that there are players who develop well under Tortorella and have in his career, but I do think Farabee is a guy who went the other way under Tortorella. Yeah, and I don't know if a lot of times that has to be on the player, right? You sit there and you say, "Hey, man, coach the coach. Like he ain't going anywhere." So you got to change.
So you can get to know me.
You got to change your way to play. You got to change. You got to do what he wants, right? If you're doing what he wants and not succeeding, then you can have an argument. But I don't necessarily think that's the case. I don't think he's playing the way, we don't see him playing the way he needs to play.
No, he's playing this. We like Joel Farabee. I think that we, and you include Bundy in it, we like the player. But his game is a much more laissez-faire.
He's too far to the outside. He doesn't get into the middle of the ice, and I think that's where when he first came up and was having some success, he was having that more in the middle of the ice. He was going to the net, that kind of stuff. That's not to say every time out he's got to go stand in front of the goalie. No, I'm not asking for that, but he spends way too much time on the periphery of the offensive zone.
Yeah,
and I think that's something that it's become a bad habit, and I'm certain that that's probably one of the things that he's having conversations with coaches about. And I don't know, sometimes when you're a player who does something a certain way for a longer period of time, it becomes hard to get out from behind that. And your instinct is telling you, for the last 3 years, this is what I've done, and I'm going to keep doing it because that's what I do. It's natural, right? If you're not willing to make that change, maybe you need to go try somewhere else. That's what I keep thinking. Like I'm thinking we're getting to that point with Joel Farabee.
So I guess the only counter I have, and I'm seeing it here in the comments, and I think it is interesting. So like Mishkov goes out, gets himself a nice, strong goal in this game on a delayed penalty.
Yeah.
Which once again you feel pretty solid about. It looked very similar to the goal from a couple of games ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right to left, around the circle, like right up the middle. Everybody feels great. Tortorella has said, Briere has said, Jones has said, players are going to start to figure out that playing with Matvei Mishkov is a good thing. It's advantageous.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to want to play with him. It appears as though the decision to maybe move Konechny to left wing a bit in this one to allow Mishkov to find the confidence on right wing paid some dividends. It's a very early part of the season. You're going to do a lot of experimenting. Is there a scenario here where you maybe try to figure out a way to get Joel Farabee on the ice with Matvei Mishkov?
I don't know how.
I'm just looking at the breakdown. They were on the ice for 51 seconds tonight.
Yeah, I don't see it, at least not right now, Russ, because you're a team that has struggled to score offensively, and you just had a game where Konechny had 4 points, Couturier had 4 points.
Do you want to answer that?
I turned it off.
Do you want to answer that?
No.
Is that the AP calling you?
No, it's not.
You sure?
It said spam risk. So
let's answer it on the show.
No, I'm not answering it on the show.
Let's answer it on the show.
I'm not answering it on the show.
Let's answer it. Should we answer it on the show?
No, too late.
No, it's still going.
No, not really.
Now it's done.
And like if you saw that line have the game that they had, why touch it? Like that worked. You've been looking for something to work, and now you want consistency of it, right?
Yeah.
Why change it?
Interestingly enough, the Mishkov, Couturier, Konechny line didn't produce particularly well, but you flip those wings, and all of a sudden, made all the difference.
Well, for one game, it made a difference.
I think Bundy's here.
Bundy's here?
Yeah.
We won't be able to hear him. Maybe we can. Where's he at? There he is. Hold on. Now we might have to do a little extra technology here. I'm going to pop in an AirPod. I'm going to see if I can hear the absolute beaut. I'm happy he's here. Let me see, because we don't have good tech abilities here to tap in. Let's see if we can get Bundissimo here on the show. Let's see. Is the beaut? Is he? Shall bring it. There he is.
Get the pump it up today, boys.
Oh, I can hear him there. How are you, Butte?
I'm doing good. My son's game wasn't quite as good as I hoped we even imagined, but I was following and watching most of the game when I could, and what a hell of a game that was! My goodness.
What's this layout?
I don't know. I'm trying. Listen, there's no precedent in these unprecedented
Stop.
times. Like,
It's just me
I do
again.
that, then it's him.
Put Bundy in. Put Bundy in the circle.
Oh my God! Stop yelling. Now I have like two sounds in my ear. Here, how about that? There we go.
There you
Bundy's
go.
here. Hello, Bundy.
That's better.
I don't need.
Good to see you guys. I missed you today. I missed everybody today. It looked like one of the funnest games of the year. What was weird, guys, looking at the stats, the fact the Flyers had 6 shots on goal after the second period, and it was a hockey game. But, man, I'll tell you what, the stats in this one were really, like, just unbelievably all over the place, right? Coots with 5 points. A lot of guys stepped up again. They never gave up the whole night, which was great.
No, it was fantastic for Coots. Anyway, I mean, that top line was really good. They were great. Konechny had 4-point game. Mishkov scored a goal. So they looked really good, Bundy. But there were some still some things to be concerned about throughout the game.
Yeah. I mean, it happens, but at least you got to start with the W somewhere, right? Like no matter how you had to get it today, you had to get that game. And I think I said like before in the pregame show, I feel like it's better to beat a team like Minnesota today than to beat a team like Montreal today and then play Minnesota tomorrow. So I felt like they can build some momentum out of this game, and hopefully that's the case.
Yeah. Well, the thing I talked about earlier that you probably don't know about yet is it sounds like they're going to call up Kolosov to play tomorrow night.
Okay.
So that should be interesting. And the top pair had to play big minutes tonight. Sanheim played 27 minutes. Risto played 25. By the way, Risto had a really good game.
Yeah.
That's tough on a back-to-back for them. You know, they're going to need the other two pairs to play a little bit more tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a lot of minutes for two guys to take. So that's what that's what the move was. They put Risto back up with Sanheim.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. I'll take that win though. I mean, Minnesota.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
sure.
playing as well as anybody. So you have to take a great win like this and try to build on it.
So Bundy, we had people came here today looking for you specifically. Look at this layout. What is this?
I decided that I'm going to cause chaos. So
it's like a giant noggin right in the middle.
He's here with us in person. I could have made him a circle. Bundy, you want to be a circle?
No,
Whatever.
It's better to keep intern Andrew in the circle.
Bundy, people did miss you today. We made it work. Somebody over here had to be a capital J journalist. The post-game show has been a little bit more off the rails. We had to go to intern Andrew over here, a lovely guy, but very quiet. Quiet. I heard his feelings, Bundy. I don't imagine that you saw it, but at the end of first intermission, I asked him for his thoughts on the first period, and as he started talking, we went to the outro, and he didn't get to answer, and then he felt hurt. And so we're trying to work through things here.
I'm really more mad at myself that I fell for it.
It's okay, intern. We're all growing together here.
That's all right. By the way, people were dumping on me for my trivia question today too.
Yeah, his trivia question it involved you, Bundy.
Not really.
Well, as a broadcaster.
Okay, well let me ask you if you remember this, because you were on TV at the time. It was the game against the Wild in 2016 where Neuver had that sprawling save and he saved it with his stick. Do you remember this? Because Ant and Russ didn't even remember it.
Okay, I do. I mean, Nuvi made some pretty wild saves when he was on his game. He was unbelievable. But I might remember it, but it doesn't come to mind off the top of my head right now.
I can't believe that. I'm the only one.
You are.
I thought that was the greatest save in Flyers history, evidently.
No, come on. I said, how's that better than Boucher's save?
This is what we've been dealing with, Bundy. This has been the whole night.
I'm sorry, guys.
We all make mistakes in this life.
It's all good.
So tomorrow, it is interesting. Like, and for some of the people who are going to listen to this in the podcast feed, it's going to be today. They're going to listen to it on Sunday. Some of the weirdos who we love tremendously are going to listen to it on like a Wednesday because they're going to be a few episodes behind. We love those people just as much, if not more. They've stopped the losing streak for now, which is huge, obviously. Like, that's a massive thing for them. How do you try to continue any semblance of momentum, and especially if they do ultimately opt to go with Alexei Kolosov in his first NHL start? What is the most important thing? And I'll throw this to you, Bundy. What's the most important thing for them to do at the start of tomorrow's game, especially assuming Kolosov does get his first start of the season? What does this team have to do to put him in strong position in his first NHL start?
I think the first thing is, instead of worrying about the goaltender tomorrow, and that's the case, just have the same start they had again today. I mean, it's different when you're playing with a lead. You know, you feel like you got some offensive momentum going. Guys got their feet under them a little bit. But I think that's a big thing. The other thing, too, is don't just let the game play the game, right? Like, you're not going to be able to take a certain amount of shots and mitigate how many shots that he's going to see, depending on who's playing and how Montreal's playing. So you have to depend. A goaltender is going to have to make saves in a game. But if you can keep a lot to the perimeter for him, I think that'll be a good start tomorrow. Don't let Montreal create too much. And they have a lot of smallish type forwards that like to get into the middle of the ice. So I think for the Flyers, that's going to be important for them tomorrow. Again, to have a good start, but also make sure the goaltender feeling confident about his game. And that should be, I would say for his first game, he should be pretty darn excited about it tomorrow. A lot of it will be on the goaltender himself to be prepared for that game and to show them what he's all about.
Was there anything you wanted to ask the man?
No, I don't. Bundy, in your absence today, I had to talk more than I've ever spoken before on this podcast. Russ was too busy working.
Good thing you're good at it, Anthony.
This looks better, Russell.
Yeah, that looks a little bit better. I don't look like I have like a 67-pound dome right in the middle of the two of you guys. Tomorrow night, guys.
Blending in over on the side. We're good.
Montreal is like one of those teams. They had a little bit of a problem at the end of last year. They're smallish type of guys, and they have really quick sticks, and they move the puck very fast in the offensive zone. That's an area the Flyers are going to have to be really aware of tomorrow night playing Montreal. The other thing tomorrow night that I know I've told you guys about tomorrow night, again, I'm just going to remind you guys, it is recovery night. There's going to be a coin handout in the atrium before the game. We'll be on the balcony, as we said. Everyone come on up and say hello if you want. And then after, there's going to be a group picture on the ice. Myself and some of the other alumni, I believe, will be there for that picture. And I encourage everybody to come down. But a lot of the people will be on the balcony tomorrow, and I'm excited about seeing everybody at the game tomorrow night for recovery night.
That'd be great. Looking forward to it myself.
It's going to be a great night.
Great.
That's probably an okay place to stop. Like, Bundy, we appreciate you hopping in there remotely.
Thanks for the opportunity, guys. Yeah, it's my son's last regular season high school football game. Playoffs start next week.
Did you get to do the walk 'em on kind of thing?
It was a road game. We usually play them Friday nights, but this game was moved to Saturday afternoon for a myriad of reasons. But I would have
high school football's getting that a lot.
Yeah, it is, Anthony. You've read my mind. And so it was supposed to be Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and we lost. But it's good to be on with you guys, and I got to join Jason and Brian as well. So the amazement of modern technology, right, guys?
Love it.
It's amazing.
All right, well, I guess that's a good place for us to wrap up
yes.
tonight. A big thank you to, I say tonight. What time is it? It's
4 o'clock.
This afternoon, whatever. It's nighttime in Europe, so if you're joining us like some of our friends over in Finland and Sweden and such, thank you. Anyway, we'll be back on Sunday. Sunday, we have the Montreal game at 7 o'clock, 6:30 start here on the Press Row Show. We'll be doing this live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. You can find this show. You can always find the post-game shows in the podcast feed. I have a hard time hearing myself twice.
So take the thing out of your ear.
I know. I should have. It's too late for that now. But the post-game show is always available in the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. And do us a favor, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video, let every Flyers fan in your life know about Snow the Goalie, which some people say, many people are saying, is the only Flyers podcast. We have yet to have that refuted. And this is the #1 pregame intermission postgame show this side of the Mississippi, south the Arctic Circle, north of the equator. What are you pointing at? What? I
was pointing to my friend Fishy, or whatever his name is, who said St. Joe's Prep runs the show in that arena. So it's
down in Hamilton, St. Joe's Hamilton.
No,
not the St. Joe's Prep in the city. I mean, if that's what he's talking about, that is correct.
No, the one in the city. That's where I went to high school.
Yeah, that's St. Joe's Prep. They have a great program.
Yes, phenomenal. That's all. Even though they lost to LaSalle.
Post about their prep schools and all the crap down here. I don't get it. It's weird. Grow up in the coal region. You have your school. You hate everybody else.
Oh, that's it. Here we go. Coal region. I'm out.
I'm just saying. It's a different way of life. We're not.
I'm doing the Bundy.
Not entitled like these people.
I'm walking off.
All right, time for us to head out. We will talk to all of you on Sunday evening. If nothing else, you get to enjoy a nice Saturday night until the Eagles take the field tomorrow, and who knows how that's going to turn out. So, for Bundy, for Ant, for intern Andrew, I'm Russ. Thanks for tuning in to the Press Row Show. We'll talk to all of you on Sunday.